How's it going, everyone? Hopefully the audio is coming through fine. Let me get my YouTube panel up. RT Ralph, how's it going? Ian, Plonk, Andre, Hal, Dan, Nuclear Triad, Confederation Empire, how's it going? Okay, so in just a few moments, they're going to be starting up the stream here to go over the reveal. Let me make sure audio is coming through. Or is there just no audio yet? If there is, I'm not hearing it. Greg? Aaron? Yeah, so the expectation is the Negh'var, of course, that was leaked in game, very out in the open about a month, just over a month ago. And the Nebula and Dhelan, those seem like the most likely candidates. So you can hear audio. Why can't I? I don't hear any audio from their stream. I don't hear any audio from. Okay, I can hear myself. Any last minute theories on the accessories? Well, remember, there's not going to be any new consoles. At least not on the ships themselves, because they're legendary. So legendary ships, they don't come with new consoles, just new traits. They come with all the previous consoles. Yeah, there's no audio yet from the Twitch stream. Robert? I only have the YouTube side up because they're doing the official stream over on Twitch, so will the consoles? Well, that's already happened. That was part of how we were able to guess that the Nebula and the Dhelan were the other two ships. I'm going to resize this just a smidge here. There we go. Yeah, there will certainly be some new skins, yeah. Yeah. Again, this is just a YouTube stream for today. Just because they're doing the main stream over on Twitch, so streaming while the rest of us are at work, I see. Yes. Oh, I hear typing. Oh, I hear typing. Oh, I hear typing. Okay, hopefully that comes through loud enough for you guys. I'm gonna mute it while the audio or while the music's playing. Wait, you can do that, Nathan, while I'm like I'd still have the notification pop up. Viper. Muds. Like at least this should provide the Twitch notifications even though I'm not actually live on Twitch. Muds? So the expectation is that this is, definitely going to be the best version of the Negh'var and Dhelan. But for the Nebula, it's highly unlikely they'll be presenting something that will beat the monitor. Music just stopped.
Hello, everyone.
That was really quiet.
I hope you're all as excited as I am for this stream.
Scuba.
We have quite a few amazing guests. Most of them you should be familiar with at this point. And one of them you might not know yet, who I'm very excited to introduce. But first, the familiar faces. You already met Pandas. He's been my help on these streams for quite a while.
I'm boosting the audio up.
Resident ship artist for today. Then there's our art director, Thomas Marone, who you've probably seen around on a few interviews, and he's been obviously with us for quite a while. There's Jeremy,
Baseman, thanks for the sub.
Hiding from the camera today, but he's showing off the ships for us, so we cannot blame him. Our lead designer, and then today, for the first time, we have our game designer, Mayo. And I'm gonna let himself introduce a little, and I think this is the question I always like to start with, is when did your love for
That's as high as the audio goes for her.
Well, okay, so
Jeez.
I'm sort of a newish fan of Star Trek, to be fair. I was always aware of Star Trek,
that was loud.
Star Trek existed. To be fair, it's like impossible for someone to wade through the internet without being aware that it exists. But it wasn't really that popular here in South America. I guess we tend more to Star Wars. But
Documents.
I do remember the specific moment when I started liking the whole concept of Star Trek. I was in England. I was studying abroad, and my English teacher there, he told me about Star Trek, about how
I'm trying to bounce the audio.
Life, about like everything basically, and how they are always looking for a solution that's not a conflict. So, for example, he told me their weapons are always set to stun. That's like the basic the basic setting, and that's always like the last resort. They always like let's look what's happening. Let's try to understand. Let's try to get to an agreement. So I think that spirit of cooperation and that spirit of avoiding conflict when possible was my main draw to the show. Later on, when I started working on the game industry, my first project was another Star Trek game, and that's when I basically started researching as much as possible of the show itself. That's when I started like watching the different shows, watching the movies, looking for the games, basically whatever I could use for my job. And well, from that I started just falling in love with the show and the different characters, the different stories, different.
I'm over here balancing the knobs as much as I can on my end.
How similar we are, even if we look completely different.
Alright, I really love that answer. I hope the rest does too. Sorry guys for the sound issues. Should be fixed now. If not, keep
Random Tribe, thank you for the sub.
Alright, thank you so much for talking to us about that. Can you tell us a little bit about your work on Star Trek Online and how you started out?
Yeah. Okay. So a normal day for me in Star Trek Online is basically taking. I'm either working on the shipyard or I'm working on other kind of like very specific content. I'm a system designer, so
Lockville will
I'm a
find
bit,
out soon.
like everywhere. So, for example, whenever we get a brief for a new ship, there's a heavy amount of research that you have to do before that, and then you start coming up with concept, with ideas. For example, sometimes you just get like a very clear idea of something that seems fun
Can you guys
for
hear
a
him
ship
now?
to do, or maybe for even like a piece of the ship to do, and then it's figuring out how to make it work and how to make it feel fun. So a lot of my time
Bridger,
goes
thank you
into
for the 10 gifted.
experimentation, into like figuring out what's the best way to make for something specific to happen inside the game.
Rune?
This has been like quite the journey. So I basically joined when early last year, and along with learning the engine, learning how the different things work, I also had to learn how people play Star Trek Online and how they enjoy playing Star Trek Online. Because basically, what I wanted to give them was something they could have fun with, be it like a complete ship, like a toy or a space Barbie, or a tool for them to do other stuff.
There's a giveaway over there if you're
really-
active in the chat.
I think that's what I really want to do. I like giving people something they can have fun with.
I love that.
Just to interrupt a little bit here, Mayo has been the sort of the catalyst, if not the whole brain sequence behind some of your recent favorites like the Voven and its well-known console, as well as all the broadsiding mechanics of the which ship was it that had all the broadside?
Kerala.
The Kerala.
The Kerala. The
Yeah.
Achilles was mine. The Premonition was mine. And
Nope.
the Ilios was mine. The Garrett was mine. So basically,
Yeah,
I've been like
The audio's
almost
rough.
everywhere.
It's so
And
unbalanced.
if you play,
Don't forget the Nova
if you
one.
play the last episode on TFO, oh yes, the Nova won the best ship in the world, of course. I just love the Nova one. I had so much fun designing
Nothing
that
so
one.
far.
I spent like hours and hours just flying it.
Yeah, I know, Michi.
And if you play the last TFO, I was in charge of the Kitomer fleet, so that's also mine, I guess. And your battle with Tassin Faye and with Color Bex, that was also mine.
Bridger again, thank you.
Really left a mark on on the current game.
It seems like.
Yeah, there's
They're
a
all over
lot
the
of
place.
love and praise coming in for you, Mayo. I think we're all glad that you're finally
Give
free
Mayo
to be
all the
this way with us,
consoles
so
and the
you can
traits.
show off
Just
your own work a
put
little bit
Mayo in
and
charge of all
see
that.
some of the things that
Yes,
we're
Nathan.
really excited for that you've done before. All right, I think I can give the mic to Jeremy now, because players are already talking and asking about what's on screen there.
Sure. Okay. Well, we're going to be talking about multiple ships today, so we're going to kind of speed through these a little bit. At least that's the idea, but we probably actually won't because we all like to talk. But these are going to be multiple ships that are going to be showing up in a legendary bundle that will be released, I believe, next week. Do I have the date correct on that?
Ralph, thank
Yes.
you for the follow.
11th.
This will be called the Last Stand bundle. There's sort of a through line here, and the ships that we'll be featuring. Yeah, well, we just called it the Last Stand. I don't remember if there's a strong reason for that. I think that name came from you, Thomas. Do you want to talk to that a little bit?
You're muted,
Thank
Thomas,
you.
by the way.
Thomas, you're
still
muted on
Thomas.
Discord.
Please
no,
talk
no,
to
okay.
us.
I'm here. I'm here now. I don't want to spoil the ships, so there is a kind of a running theme for the bundle, but
Richard?
I'd rather talk about that kind of after we've revealed the
Sure.
last ship.
There's also, as within most of our modern bundles, there's additional items, exclusives. We aren't going to be talking about those this week, though. We're going to be talking about those and some other stuff next week, which also kind of feed into the theme as well. So, but without further ado, let's jump in here and start talking about the first ship, which is one that many players that have been paying attention to some of our recent leaks and such probably already anticipated this was going to be released in the near future. But we have this new livery skin that we can talk about and show off. This is the legendary, let me get its full name, the legendary Negh'var Intel Dreadnought Cruiser. As always, as tradition, let's start off by talking about this amazing new material.
Well, that changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Go ahead.
all right. So the material isn't actually new. It's yet another Chronos Run variant, and it's really fitting for the Negh'var, especially since we see it as
Yeah, Intel.
Gowron's flagship in DS9. But as is sort of tradition with our legendary Klingon ship, this has a new Chronos 1 variant using the now iconic-ish grayish white and red livery with all of the gold trimmings that come with it. I worked on this based on the original Negh'var model and Votley model that was already in game. It has all of the additional gold, it has the livery, it has a bit more details and greebling that I took from the Katinga Chronos one that was seen in the Undiscovered Country and also in game as part of another legendary bundle. And it was really fun to it was a really fun task
Yeah, I was
to
expecting
just
command.
add more gold and make an existing ship gaudy.
Yeah, so for people who aren't familiar with Star Trek 6, Kronos 1 as a concept kind of showed up in Star Trek 6, the Chancellor's flagship. In Star Trek 6, it was a Katinga class ship, but it had its own special paint job. It had a couple of the details on the model had been changed. They added gold filigree to make it feel more kind of royal and official. And essentially, it's the Air Force One of the Klingon Empire, right? That's the allegory. And so some of the thought process behind that original Kronos one was that the all that decoration was earned accolades from victories in battle, and that
We don't know the other
as the
mark.
chancellor led his people to glory, they would add the filigree and paint and talk about the the exploits of the ship and its crew and the chancellor and everything. So it seemed appropriate when doing the Negh'var to do that. If Gowron hadn't been killed, if his chancellorship had lasted a longer time, what might his flagship have looked like in 5, 10, 15 years after earning the um, earning the ability to wear all of this ornamentation on it.
Yeah.
And in case anybody tuning in doesn't understand the full extent of what a legendary ship is, let me go into that in a little bit of detail. So these ships are meant to, in many ways, represent the pinnacle of an entire line of ships. And so with the Negh'var, we have a
Cheops.
whole line of existing costumes that are all going to be
Terrible.
available for this ship. Anything that is in the Negh'var family, which is a term we sometimes use, but technically it's like anything that's on this skeleton. The new legendary ship comes with this new custom outlook, but it also includes all of the previous variants for any Negh'var that already exists in the game, which I think is just the Negh'var, Neg'Tev, and Vodla. Am I saying those right?
There's one more.
There's one more. Oh,
Yeah,
you know what? I can
but-
actually just go look in the Taylor.
And yeah, like
So
Jeremy just said,
Command.
yeah, this will also be able to use the newly remastered Neg'Tev.
Secondary
the-
command,
and
it looked like.
Kronos one.
Yeah.
the Vodla was actually that's actually a free variant that you get for the for the Negh'var. It just comes with any version of the Negh'var, gets the Negh'var skin and the Vodla for free. The Vodla that's All Good Things, right? Keen. That's a version of the
Yeah,
ship from All Good Things. Yeah,
I think
and then
so.
Yeah, I'd rather
the
have had command
Kudaj is
intel.
that's just
Personally.
an alternate skin, I think from launch. And
Is showing his age a little bit there.
yeah. And
but I
then,
do like the hammerhead shape. It's really cool.
Mhm.
Very
Yeah, I
angry.
think it's a cool design. I think it would be cool to update the model someday for sure. And then we
Yeah, it looks really good.
recently did remaster the Neg'Tev in anticipation of the ship release. So the people who guessed it, you guessed it right. Good job. And
I think I
then
might
of
have
course the
something
Kronos 1
set
variant.
incorrectly on my local because I don't have the Neg'Tev showing here. Maybe a
Oh.
date is set wrong or something. But players should also have access to the Neg'Tev
It might be, it's probably not on the costume set, but it should be on the MT. So if you just gave yourself the puppet,
I did.
you wouldn't, yeah, you wouldn't get the Negh'var. You'd have to
Gotcha.
claim
Okay.
the MT for it. Yeah.
My failing. I'm gonna hit random just a few times here because there's some mix and match available, right? You can
Mhm.
Yep.
like you can use that cool coup dodge head with the rest of this.
Yeah, it should
very
be
cool.
Commander Intel on the engineer.
We haven't done very many Klingon ships in the recent. Oh man, that's neat. In the recent, is there anything that was like rediscovered or unique challenges to doing Klingon ships that you hadn't encountered before, Keen?
Not really. Like the
Not
task of
yet.
making a Klingon ship Kronos one was something new to me though. Like when it comes down to the actual data and the ship setup, it's pretty much the same between like any type of ship, like be it Klingon or Starfleet. But
Mhm.
usually when I have to make a ship, it's like making a new ship or intaking a ship that someone like Tobias Richter has made. And for the Kronos One task, it was kind of a
Yeah,
breath of fresh
5-3
air
setup.
since it was just taking an existing ship
Enhanced
and being
battle
able to
cloak.
be creative with it.
It's
Like
got a hangar
how
bay.
would the Klingons have put the filigree on this? Like looking at the existing ships,
Thanks,
like the
Stuka.
legendary Katinga, the
Yeah,
legendary
5-3 weapon
Ortas II, I
setup.
think, and
Confirmed.
looking at how the previous ship artists decided to implement all of the filigree and all of the livery onto the ship. And also, it's not just the
Yeah, it
outer
has a hangar
filigree,
bay.
there's also little details. Like I
There was a
mentioned
pet on the
earlier,
tray.
there's like the little dome piece that was originally found on the legendary Katinga, the original Kronos 1 from the Undiscovered Country. I mixed and matched some pieces from the Vodley and the Negh'var for this
Looked
as well,
like an
at Thomas's
enhanced battle
suggestion.
cloak.
And also the bridge dome of the legendary Negh'var is in the style of the original Kronos one with additional filigree around the more royal looking, more spacious bridge dome.
It
Cool.
best
It
Klingon.
was really fun to do.
They don't really have one. It's Type
All right.
7s.
Any other art callouts you want to make before we move on to the functionality?
This
of the
should
ship?
have unique pets on it, from what I
If you
recall.
want to show off the, I don't know if you want to show off the pets now or later.
Yeah, they're about
Oh,
to
sure.
show.
Since we're
Is-
talking about
yeah.
the art, so this will come with unique new hanger pets that Mayo created, and I'll go ahead and show off because they also have a unique skin.
So it's
So
4 pets
let's,
per bay.
where'd they go? Come here, and then get them to hold still. So these are first time we're doing chariots as a hanger pet. But yes, as you can see, they also have the
They're
Kronos
not
one
Type
livery.
7 race skins because there's 4 per bay. Type 7s have 6.
Any other comments to make about this on the art side, or should we just go ahead and take this as a segue into the mechanics?
I don't think I have too much to add. I mean, obviously it's just making it kind of line up with the look of the Kronos one, adding the filigree onto them and the red and white color scheme. It was just fun to make a little mini version of the Kronos one with these ships.
We're calling these the Chancellor's Chariots. Is the name
Good
of
name.
the hanger pet.
Yeah,
And
like
these
heavy
are
fighters,
like
yeah.
runabout scale, right?
Correct. So 2 up per wing. Total of 4 active at a time.
They're pretty large.
What is
Okay, well
that
then,
called? Sorry, well, like what's the actual term you guys use to describe that scale?
I think we have used both terms, runabout and heavy fighter, for this
Okay.
scale.
Gotcha.
It's not cleanly defined.
I think so.
Yeah.
Mid-size? I think heavy fighters is the most common terminology that we use for it, though.
Right on.
Well, he's got the game slowed
Which
down
does
to
mean
show us the
since it's
visuals.
not,
That's why they're really
since
slow.
it's not a frigate-sized pet, these will be usable on any ship that has a hangar bay, right?
Okay, usable on any ship. Yeah, he's got the game basically frozen. That's why they're moving so slow.
Sona, we're getting some distortion coming through your microphone. I don't know what that is. Something you might be
Yeah,
trying to
some-
talk, but it's not working.
Some Ethereum sabotage, maybe?
Maya, why don't you tell us a little bit about the hangar pets since we're talking about these?
Okay, so yes. So this ship, the legendary Negh'var, was meant to be a flagship. So any good flagship should have its honor guard. So of course we needed to make something special for the hangar pets, and well, originally what I wanted to try the Mokai just for because I heard some people really like them, especially with their viral impulse ability. But then we decided that something more contemporary was better. So basically, these were made from scratch, and they feature disruptor weaponry, and they have a special ability which is called the Disruptor Cascade, which is like a light version of the trait of the legendary Negh'var. So basically what this will do is it works in a similar way to CasualSAB lasers weaponry, but in this case it gives these pets a boost to their disruptor damage.
It's only active periodically, but you might have seen as soon as I sent these guys on attack, there were some disruptor explosions that happened. Seems to have a pretty high cooldown, but there it is. Here it's building up again.
So disruptor chemo site type thing for the trait is what it sounds like. A disruptor boost.
Yeah, so
it's been a while.
basically each one of these pets can do the ability by themselves, so each one will have its own cooldown. So there's a chance you might see them like fairly constantly.
They also seem to have access to rapid fire.
Yes, the different levels will have rapid fire from level 1 to 3, depending on if it's the normal, the advanced, or the elite version.
Sounds great. So these
we'll
are
see
very
here in a moment.
offensive focus pets, yes.
Yes. Basically, I wanted to keep something that was a really strong punt and will go well alongside a ship like the Negh'var.
They look really cool.
I apologize if anybody watching sees the frame rate drop occasionally when I tab out to look at our documentation. Okay, so I see a lot of people in the chat asking about other.
Their stream is freezing. I have 359 drop frames, but this looks like it's on their end. Yeah, bad
capabilities of
connection.
the ship. I'm going to clean up the area, and then we can talk about its sort of general identity, seating, and all that. So let's start with just general identity. I'll show the
5-3
inventory here while we talk about that.
hangar bay.
Okay, so I think that the biggest talent for designing the legendary Negh'var was that if you look into the Negh'var family, they are mainly command ships, or well, they are designed to be command ships. And if you were to follow like step by step that lineage, you will get something really similar to the legendary Vortasku. And of course, because we don't want basically to have this ship fighting among themselves, the challenge was to come up with something that still retained the identity of the Negh'var while going into a different direction. So
I recall
which is
that being
why
a conversation of why this ended up being a dreadnought cruiser, because I think.
Yeah, I'll just cut Jeremy off
Yes.
there. He doesn't have his camera on anyways. So.
Yes, yeah.
There was a
Well,
lot
the
of
idea
that. I
the-
remember a lot of back and forth early in the days, like, hey, we could do this, but we've already done it. So what do we do different?
Yeah. Sorry, I lost my track.
My bad. I probably
Okay,
interrupted.
So yeah, the idea of the honor guard was like always there from the beginning. So while
Same
looking for
plan as
what would
Legendary
be a good
Galax.
step to take to not get into the path of the Vortasku, basically that's where the Dreadnought Cruiser idea came from. It has like a good enough balance of striking capabilities while
There we
still
go.
being
That's
different
fine.
enough to be its own thing and not rather just a reskin of the Vortasku. And it also had the hangar bay, which will fit the new hangar pets. And well, in terms of what we can see, the 5-3 layout is of course because it's it takes from the general shape of the ship, you can
It's a
you
good
can tell
ship.
that this thing it's
Not the
made
best,
to just
but
fire
this is
forward.
good.
I think that a lot of Klingon design philosophy is it goes along those ways.
This is a
So,
Klingon
it was
legendary
sort of
Galax.
an easy decision to take. Although in the beginning I really wanted to make it a 4-4, but after some discussion, we decided that it was a 5-3 was for the best.
So legendary ships, again, just to reiterate for anybody that might be new to the game, legendary starships don't come with new consoles of their own, but they include all of the previous consoles from the entire lineage. With the Negh'var, most of its lineage is lower tier ships, unfortunately, so there's only one console.
We're
This
still
is
on the
one
very
that
first one,
exists in
the
game,
Negh'var.
but it will be pre-equipped on this ship. This is the only Negh'var console that exists. It will also come with all the pre-existing traits from the entire lineage, of which I believe there were just one.
One,
So
yeah.
explosive polarity
Yeah.
shift, which is already on one of the other Negh'vars. I think it's also on one of our Galaxy variants. So there are multiple ships where you could have obtained this trait. But again, as with any legendary ship, it does come with a new trait, which is an account unlock when it occurs. And so I'll hover over this, but if you want to talk a little bit about the design of this new starship trait.
Yeah, of course. So this idea came to me while reading about doing some research. I went right back to the basics. So, for example, I wanted to take the disruptor damage and see what we could do with that. Because we have done a lot with phaser and some anti-proton recently, but I thought, well, disruptor could use some love too. And while reading the description, the general description of what disruptor weaponry does, it works by basically
That's really hard to read.
disrupting the bonds between atoms and molecules. So I immediately got transported back to my years in high school, where I was in chemistry class, and I was taught that, well, molecular bonds have
this looks like a mini disruptor complex.
and that's because
we'll have to do testing.
The different electromagnetic fields contest. It's basically like having an assortment of magnets and trying to keep them stable. So there's actually a very set number of angles that this
yeah, this is like a mini disruptor complex.
So that was one idea. The next idea was, okay, you probably have heard the story about the Martin band which crossed the bridge, and the bridge fell over because it started resonating in a harmonic way. So I thought, okay, what will happen if especially tuned disruptors weapons started applying a resonant force on the molecular bonds? So the idea was that it would make them move around or swing rather more and more until you generate this cascade effect where the bonds can no longer remain stable. And at that point is when you get basically a big explosion.
The low video quality warp core.
All that energy. Yeah.
Yeah. Please don't quote me on a science paper, because this is knowledge from high school back a lot of years ago.
We don't have to be 100% accurate. Just wave your hands and say subspace did it.
Yeah. So no, but I wanted it to ground it a bit. So I believe that good science fiction, it has some grounding on actual science. So I wanted to give that thing. So basically what we see here is that when you activate this trait, your direct energy weapons will be enhanced and will apply a DOT, a disruptor DOT that will stack. This is the resonating effect. And once you get to the max stack, which is 15, they all trigger a big explosion, which will be the cascade effect.
And I'm not showing it off well here, but I do want to call attention to this. Works really well with
disruptor dot
with the scatter volley or fire at will, because you can be building up these stacks on multiple targets at the same time. Also in the demonstration here, I only have 3 weapons firing, but if you're doing broadsiding with a full 8 weapons on your target, all using disruptor damage,
I'll have a full transcription in my video later.
Can happen quite readily, quite quite
Yeah,
rapidly.
and you can see how this is similar to the Hungry Pets version. So it's basically the idea is that both
It's not
the
as
Negh'var
strong
and
as
the Hungry Pets
complex
got this
plasma,
technology, this
but
special
it
technology
should
for
still
their
be a good
weaponry.
boost for Disruptor.
There's a 30-second lockout with the 30-second uptime, so it's 50% uptime.
Mhm.
I just tried to activate it again and failed, so that reminded me.
Yikes.
um,
50%
reactivating
uptime?
the
Oh
engineering or
boy.
intel ability would get you the proc.
That's
and then
a bit
you
rough.
build it up, and then it'll explode. Pretty fun.
Mhm.
And as some people in the chat have noted, there's not a lot of options that specifically synergize with disruptor damage in the game. There are some.
I'll be
But
testing
we
it next
figured,
week.
just as Mayo already said,
But that uptime sounds very
building one
disappointing.
more into a legendary starship seemed like appropriate for the general Klingon identity for this ship.
Yeah, the only issue I have with the stream
All
quality
right.
is just the bitrate that they're using.
Real quick about the seating, just in case it wasn't like it's already on the screen, but just to state it here. So it's an Intel primary. So the engineering seat is Intel, and it has is it Miracle Worker command secondary?
Yep.
On the
It's
lieutenant.
a command secondary. So basically, you'll have the possibilities to choose between, okay, am I doing a surgical strikes build, or am I doing forgot the name. The lieutenant commander ability from command is
Concentrate firepower.
Yeah, it's literally
Concentrate
Legendary
firepower,
Galax, but with an
so
enhanced
you're
battle cloak.
basically this should be flexible enough for any kind of, or not any kind, but for a bigger variety of playstyles.
Okay, as I mentioned at the top of this stream, we have 3 ships to go through, so I'm ready to switch to the next one unless there are any major questions that we need answered.
Yeah, 50% uptime may kill it.
There's a question about synergies, what buffs the disruptor explosion. Anything that you have that is a piece of gear or passive that says plus
We'll test it
disruptor
next
damage
week.
will
I'll be doing a
increase the
live
damage
stream
that
as
the
soon as
straight
this
does.
stuff is live.
However, if it says directed energy damage, then this is not a directed energy weapon, so there's not everything will enhance it.
Yeah,
Does
they've
it have
been
a
really
lance?
open to feedback.
That's a good question. Does it? I don't think it
We
does. Oh, but I did want to call attention to the Bortosk has a lance, doesn't it?
Enhanced battle cloak.
That's why we didn't do it.
I don't remember why we didn't do it. We did discuss it at some point, but it just didn't happen in the end.
I think it was because this one has a hangar and the Bortosk doesn't, so we created new hangar pets. But I do want to call out that we did give this ship enhanced battle cloak. This is kind of a nod to its Intel primary. A ship this size typically doesn't have enhanced battle cloak, but this is another build option, as you were saying. Like it should be possible to build this as a concentrate firepower ship, a torpedo boat, and an enhanced battle cloak can help out with those builds, certain types of those torpedo builds.
It's just a slightly different icon.
So yeah. All right, I'm going to go ahead and switch to our second ship, and then we'll go back to talking about the art associated with that.
Legendary
everybody.
Nebula. Look at that.
Thomas, why don't you take it away?
It's a science spearhead.
I think you're muted again.
Temporal miracle worker. Oof. Oh.
I get muted. I mute myself
Stop
when
with the
I
miracle
stop
worker.
talking, just so I don't accidentally make 40-year-old man noises.
Oh,
when
no.
the mic isn't
Ugh.
on. But as Chad has already put together without needing to hear me say what I said, this is the legendary Nebula. Long have people awaited this. This is, I'll let you all speak to the stats, but visually, this is based on the USS Melbourne, one of the ships that was destroyed at the Battle of Wolf 359. This actually does play into the theming of the legendary Last Stand bundle name. The Melbourne was destroyed at Wolf 359. Along with 40 other Starfleet ships. I always thought this was kind of a funny. This is some people call this the Proto Nebula. I think this is the first time that we saw any variant or version of the Nebula. Is that right, Keen? Was this kind of
Oh, is that detached?
We
Kit
see
Bash
this
wreck?
as a We see this as a Kit Bash Direct
Oh,
and the Best of Both
I
Worlds
think that
part
back part
2,
detaches.
and that predates any other appearance of the Nebula. It was done by, I think, Michael
What it
Kuda
looks
and
like.
Ed Malaraki as a quick Kit Bash for the debris field. So this was the first time we see the Nebula, and so fans call it the Proto Nebula, Prototype Nebula.
Right.
Was this
And
just a
this
piece
is
of a shuttle
yeah.
model kit strapped to the back of it?
So they used like Gundam model kit parts for some of
Mm.
these kit bashes. I think that might have been like a shield or something for originally for like a Gundam. I don't know,
Okay.
or like a chess piece or something. So I modeled this for both worlds, the both worlds release, and for the Wolf 359 TFO, because it was really important to me that we had all of those ships in that TFO. Like we had to have all of them. And so that meant modeling some ships that I knew that, like, I didn't know when we released them, but I modeled the Melbourne variant here based on Donnie Versage's original Nebula model, and I modeled the Freedom, which the ship artist didn't have time to make those, so I just made them myself. Um, but obviously the standout feature on this guy is the two little bitty nacelles. I have a whole headcanon about this that I'll share in a second. But I do want to say that this is fully customizable with other nebulas, which is actually kind of cool because if you notice the hull on the bottom actually sticks out a lot further. It's just kind of a standard Galaxy hull, right? This was probably made with like an AMT Enterprise D kit. The model kit kind of mixed around, and so they just used the standard like out of the box Galaxy hull, and then tack stuff onto it. So it gives a very different like longer profile than a standard Nebula might. If you, yeah, we can go into the Taylor to kind of compare it. And then the little pod on the back, that is that we treat that as the mission pod on the Nebula skeleton. So so that's what swaps out there.
I don't know, Steven.
Yeah, if you want to swap out the holes, you can kind of, if you look at it from the side and swap the holes out, you can kind of get a sense of what I'm talking about here, about how it kind of pulls in. But the pod is designed to work with the original Nebula hull. So the Nebula's got a lot of customization now, and you can kind of really tailor it to whatever sort of headcanon you want. The As far as speaking of headcanon, as far as the engines on the back, my personal feeling on that is that this is actually a oh no, I forgot how I set that up. That's even cooler. I forgot how I did it. That's even better. So that little pod thing there is actually the neck. And then the engines are the mission pod. So you can have like that. If you like the look of that little pod thing, you can still have the engines on top of another neck. Yeah.
You
Some
get
of
some
it's
funky
goofy, but some
designs.
of it actually I think works pretty well. Yeah, that one's probably the goofiest one.
This one
But
here.
yeah. But people
At
like
least
to
not
do.
floating in space.
But you know what I'm happy about though is that it gives you, like, if you go to the Melbourne what do you call that, the center pylon,
Mhm.
and then you can change the mission pod out,
Yeah.
right? And then that can interact with the others in the thing in a different way, which is pretty cool.
I like that.
And it gives you, it's kind of actually a bit more sleek and longer with that longer hull, so I think it's got some really interesting customization options. As for what that, my headcanon about Melbourne and what it is, I think I look at it as a long range, like, salvage ship for like big like hulks that you might encounter, or like say you need to move a starbase, right? Or you need to you find
Dan.
a was that Ranma cylinder or whatever, a Rama cylinder, or you find the whale probe, or the inert doomsday machine after Kirk and company blow it up. It's still out there, right? And you probably don't want the Klingons to get a hold of stuff like that. So you probably need ships that have kind of these are just big, like towing things that can help you tow it warp. So the way I kind of look at it as the ship would go to a derelict like that, they would detach the little pod on the back with the warp nacelles, and then that thing would actually dock with whatever they're moving, and it
Oh, a
generates
tow
its
pod.
own and it generates its own warp field around whatever it's towing in conjunction with the mothership, right? So the Nebula
It's a neat
itself would
design.
be generating the
Not for
bigger warp
everyone,
field,
but
but the secondary ship would also kind of be able to go on top or the opposite side or whatever
That's cool.
and fill that out. So that's my headcanon. That is not supported anywhere. I am the only person that that kind of is putting that out there in the universe, but
Yeah,
I
I
think
don't
it's
think we did
a cool way
anything
to
with
explain
that
it.
in the mechanics for the ship.
No, I was not consulted, but that's okay.
It's funny 'cause
I've
usually
seen
we
other
do work
people.
together, but
Yeah, no, that's fine. I've seen other people talk about it as like, oh, they were like test bed prototype nacelles or auxiliary nacelles for the main
it's
ship.
additional
I think
customization
ultimately,
options.
whatever you want to think it is, that's up to you
If you're a Nebula
and how
fan,
you
that's more
how you
options.
play it.
That's
But
good.
I just wanted to share that because I think it's a weird variant. It's one of those things where typically my arc with weird stuff like this is like the first time I see it, I'm like, that's stupid, and then I have to make it for my job. And then after I make it, I'm like, oh, well, that's kind of neat. That's kind of weird. I could see how that could work, and then I end up liking it by the end.
yeah, I can see that. I'm just gonna hit randomize a few times
I
to
don't
show
think
off
there's
the
new material.
customization.
And we're not seeing
I'm
the
really partial to
Sutherlands. Hmm
I'm really
Yeah, the
partial
Phoenix
to
Pod super cool.
the Magellan overall, but
Yeah.
no, wait, not Magellan.
Um.
What is Phoenix? Yeah, Phoenix.
The Phoenix. Yeah.
I like the big
I
round
like
pod.
it. I'm glad to have the option
So
in there.
we're not. I do want to make a point that we're not seeing any of the Sutherland or Monitor options, but those are included in the legendary.
Yeah.
All the existing Nebula version, including the
Yeah, Nathan.
Starfleet and Mirror versions of the Sutherland, the Nebula and the Monitor, and the Fleet Nebula materials as well will be included in legendary.
Someday I'll remember to set these up through the microtransaction for live streams, but that day is not today.
Yeah, I've got like
Okay,
15K Zen,
let's
so hopefully
go
I've got
talk a little
enough.
bit about how this ship is built. This was kind of a joint effort between you and I, Mayo, if I remember correctly.
Minimal,
which, man, this was like 3 months
minimal
ago at this point.
non-side
Didn't you
looks
do
like.
most of the paper design and then I did the implementation for you? Is that how we work this?
Yeah. Basically, I did the research on the stats and powers and proposed a few ideas of how this should go. I was
Yeah, it feels like it's
able
going to be
to
something support
work on this,
focused.
but my work on the episode and the DFO took longer than expected at the time, so I had to switch over. But I think that it worked out in the end.
So the core identity was kind of your inspiration. I remember taking your lead on that. So that players can see, the full name is the Legendary Nebula Temporal Science Spearhead. So it is a 4-3. It does not have a hangar bay. It is a science ship, so it has secondary deflector and all of that. Do you remember? Can you talk a little bit about the inspiration that led to this in particular, its identity, what we were aiming for with the ship setup?
I would love to, but as you said, it was 3 months ago. I can't really remember much.
Yeah, well, let me try to riff from memory. So obviously the lineage of the Nebula overall and all of its variants has always been science. And that is evident in not just the seating and the
Yeah,
stats
no
and
hanger.
everything like that, but also
It's a
even in
science
the
spearhead,
consoles and the
4-3
starship
weapon layout.
traits that have been part of this lineage. You know, there's a lot of talk about tachyons and tetrons and using stealth detection and things like that. So it did feel like a natural fit that in order to exemplify the whole lineage, that this needed to be a super science ship. So in a lot of ways, temporal operative is like science plus in a lot of ways. So it felt like a natural fit for that. And I do remember in particular, you encouraged us to stick with something that would be
indeed,
maybe
Ian.
not the new meta ship, but very within the meta builds for what an exotic damage ship or directed energy exotic ship, how that would get built out. So that is evident in its seating and its consoles and everything. So temporal primary with a miracle worker secondary, I believe this is.
That's bad. Yeah. Miracle Worker secondary on a science ship.
Again, focused on a lot
sucks.
of
It's
either
horrible.
universal console builds or EPG builds or directed energy / EPG builds, those sorts of things. That's what we're hoping this ship can serve the purpose of. And as a legendary, of course, it comes with all the previous consoles from its whole lineage, which, as I said, are like Tachyon and Tetrion based. And this kind of factored into what we ended up doing with the new Starship trait. You see it comes with the existing Starship traits. And here's the new one. So this particle fluctuation analysis is meant to work with universal consoles.
It's a support
Did my
trait.
stream die?
No.
No,
it's
that
still
was
there,
a
unless-
that was a cat on my keyboard. I'm sorry. Stream is back on.
Okay.
Was just gone for a second.
Sorry, I have it up on my other monitor.
Activating the Universal Console
Sorry.
grants the
Okay,
following
so,
buffs to self and 4
activating
nearby
Universal
players for 10
Console gives you the
seconds.
following
Stacks up
buffs
to
to
10
yourself
times.
and nearby players. So this
Oof.
is kind of an identity that I wanted to riff on, which is not just being a selfish science ship, but also being able to help your
10% crit
allies in some way.
chance,
So whenever
100%
you
crit
use
severity.
Universal Console, you get all these buffs for yourself and for nearby allies. They stack. I also integrated healing criticals into this, which are not very common in our game.
That's a
Usually only
good,
found in the Miracle
that is a
Worker,
good trait.
specialization. But using this can also, if you're using heals for any reason, can help you keep yourself and your teammates alive. So it's a pretty straightforward, but it synergizes directly with that universal console.
10% crit
type of
chance,
focus.
100% severity. That right there, that's a new meta trait. The ship
And that's about it.
the ship doesn't
There's not
fully
much more to
suck,
say
but
about
it's
this.
not
It's a,
the best size
pretty
ship.
bog standard temporal science.
That trait, though?
Science spearhead.
Damn,
There's
that
nothing
trait.
else that comes special on this ship. No hanger pets. No lance. Anything.
Well,
like
it says
that.
crit chance and
So
healing
yeah.
crit chance.
Just what we're
Crit
hoping is
severity
going to be a very
and
solid
healing crit
science puzzle
severity.
for all of your universal console / EPG builds.
And then there's also power buffs to it. If it isn't locked to
And that
healing,
is the
then yeah,
legendary
that's
Nebula.
that's
Are we ready
crazy.
to move on to the third and final ship for today's stream?
Let's do it.
I saved this one for
go.
last because I think this will
Indeed, Richard.
surprise players the most, pleasantly, I hope.
Legendary Dhelan
So
Pilot
here we
Warbird.
have-
Secondary intel.
A legendary Dhelan pilot warbird.
5/2 plus
Go ahead
experimental
and take
weapon
us away
slot.
with this, Thomas.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
I'm really excited about this. And I have to admit that originally we weren't going to go quite this direction, but then Phil Dunn, the Deca art lead, suggested that we that we do a Romulan ship to round out this bundle, and it was a great idea. And so we decided, okay, well, what are our options for a Romulan ship? And I think we kind of landed on the Dhelan because it could be more tactical focused, which would be a good,
It's certainly a different design.
contrast to the engineer battle cruiser of the Negh'var and
Yeah.
the
science
science
vessel
ship Nebula. So that's why we landed on the Dhelan, which if you know, it's a little weird doing a legendary on it, but the more we thought
like a
about it,
TOS
the more we thought there was a really cool opportunity here to investigate an era of Romulans that we've actually never seen in canon. And so what we decided to do was, what did Romulan ships look like during the motion picture era, or in the or what we may call the lost era of Star Trek? And so
unique
the
design.
concept for this ship was, what were the warbirds that the Enterprise C fought
Myth, how's it going?
at Narendra 3? And that kind of is part of the legendary
Yes,
Last
you know.
Stand theming. So you have the, Galron died in glory, in, I guess sort of glorious battle, and the Melbourne was destroyed at Wolf 359, and then these ships were there at the last stand of the Enterprise C. This ship was designed by Jamie Armstrong Hughes. Just a totally new take on Romulan ship design, again, filling out like let's explore this era, something that we've never really done in STO. Most of our Romulan ships have all meant to be kind of 24th, 25th century or TOS, right? But we haven't really
Yeah.
tried to establish a visual style like this for the Romulans. And I'm really pleased with how this turned out. We really leaned
it's
heavily
passable.
into, that era of ship designs and model work is very inspired by Art Deco, and that seemed really appropriate for the Romulans too. Very like severe lines inspired by like Roman architecture. Obviously, Romans were a big inspiration for the Romulan culture, so we leaned into that. We also wanted it to feel like it was kind of halfway between the Dideridex, the Talis and the Dideridex, right? And so that's why we've kind of got this silver steel look that feels a little white. That's the Talis, and then we've got the green areas for the Dideridex.
A little bit of this
To
open wing
lean into.
language too.
Yeah, and that's really the Dhelan,
This is definitely a design people are gonna love.
And then if
or
you look
hate.
at the bottom, we just topped it off.
I think it's
fine. We were like technically done with it, and I was like, no, we gotta have the bird. We gotta put the bird on it.
Put a bird on it.
Put a bird on it. But we decided to make it. Yeah, we decided to make it gold just to kind of it fits better with the rest of the ship, and it gives it its own visual identity. As an era and a piece of
with the stream quality.
Design.
Probably best to wait for next week for that.
I really love
for
this
creators to cover that
because it's both birdie and like a Roman centurion armor.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah. Keen, you did the intake on this, right?
Yep, I did the intake on this. The model for this was done by the ever wonderful Tobias Richter, and I had the opportunity to put it in the engine and get it set up, all the data, all the kit bashing stuff, as well as making sure the material and everything looked right on it. One of the details
Oven-ready
that
turkey.
I got to work with you, Thomas, on the ship is because, in the original concept, there weren't detailings for things like phaser emitters, well, in this case, plasma emitters and such. So we worked together and you gave me like a rough idea of what you wanted. So I just modeled it, and after a few iterations, you can see Jeremy is showing a set of emitters off at the nose of the ship. Those are a design that, since we don't see the TMP lost style Romulan ships, so we designed emitters that sort of blended how Federation emitters look and how Romulan design is. So
lucky it's not orange colored.
Such that we put on it.
Terrible. Is this the
One
orange
of the
ticket
weird
that you
things
talk about?
This era of Star Trek that I don't really even know that they knew what they were doing when they were writing Star Trek 6, but there's sort of a implied detente between the Romulan Empire and the Federation. If you look at what happens in Star Trek 6, the Romulan ambassador is present at some very high security, high level meetings with the Federation president and some members of the Starfleet Command and Federation Council, like very much, we are going to declare war on the Klingon Empire kind of stuff. Like you don't really get to be in that room unless you're the closest of allies. And so I think, I think that's
controversial
something
video.
Is interesting about that era that nobody really, I think, really talks about or explores. And so it made sense to me that maybe there is some technology sharing,
nice
or
diet
a little
green
bit
tea
of back
from
and forth
Sam's.
between the Romulan and
good.
Federation ships at the time.
But
no,
you guys would have gotten one more season.
Legendary bundle ships are always locked to the bundle.
Not quite the same era, but it would have. The rumors were that it was going to touch on the Sublight War, the introduction of the Romulans.
Hood ornament.
Yeah, that would be. It would be cool to explore that more someday.
All right, I'm going to go into the Taylor.
Yeah, let's see what this looks like. Kit bashed.
I don't remember if Romulan ships have a lot of piecemeal customization, but you should have all the other Dhelan skins.
Yeah.
Again, if you do it through the microtrans correctly.
You're missing the Hathors, but yeah, it should have the Beatrice,
Hathors, and
the Dale.
Yeah, the Dale as well.
So
Which
yeah,
will be
we'll
here
have more
if you
customization.
purchase it through the microtrans. It'll work correctly.
Right.
I mean,
So,
that
not a lot
with
to
some of
show
the
off
different
here.
colors, it's sort of neat.
Let's go and talk a little bit about the ship's functionality then.
It's hard with the bitrate they have. The
Okay,
bitrate
well, as I
for the
already
stream is
mentioned,
so
this
low.
is a pilot warbird. This is the first time we've done a warbird in a while, so it does have the singularity mechanics. It is a full-on Romulan warbird. We're not cutting any corners there. So singularity powers, we don't really have some in
Oh, it's a
culture.
little bit more
So
readable.
the idea of like playing homage to sword fighting a little bit with the name of this. It also matches up a little bit with the functionality. So whenever you use evasive maneuvers, brace for impact, or your pilot maneuvers, you get a stack of this buff. And passively, while you have
Should
this
still be
buff,
gone.
your critical severity with your weapons is increased, but then you chew through the buff yourself by fighting others. Every time you, once per second, when you attack somebody with your directed energies, you consume a stack to do additional plasma damage. So this is essentially a way of turning some of your defensive maneuvers into offensive firepower temporarily with this ship. There's no internal lockouts or anything, although you can't have more than 5 stacks at a time. So, but you can continuously refresh them if you have
I don't
access
even
to
see
reducing the cooldowns on
like
your
a
evasive
dropout on my end.
maneuvers or brace for impact or any of that. You can continue to build it up, and I can show you a little bit of that with using pilot maneuvers. We get oh, it didn't work. Oh, you have to be in combat. Silly me.
One
Gotcha.
thing about the art, Keen, we did add all the other materials, the newer Romulan materials to the ship, didn't we? When
Yeah,
you,
yeah, it should all be there. I don't think I missed any, but yeah, with this update, all ships in the Dhelan family will have materials that should be available for all Romulan ships.
which includes the newer like Dideridex and Talist material or Tavaro material and the what do we call the Ronandare or whatever, the T6
Yeah, that
material.
sounds right.
Yeah, pilot intel.
Yeah. And also, this ship it's the legendary Dhelan, but the class of ship is called the Deatra, and it has its own Deatra material and windows.
Oh no,
This is
visual bug. The hit effect's hitting me instead of the target.
Oh no.
That's easy enough for us to straighten out. But you can see, use pilot maneuver, get the stacks, and then use them. You're seeing the explosion hitting me instead of the target, but you get the gist of it. That's how it works.
I foresee a lot of
But it's
testing
good to do a
next
stream a
week.
week early.
I definitely want this ship. It's just perfect for me.
Yeah, it's definitely going in my collection.
I think I'm more partial to at least to fly around in the legendary Nebula, but I do just love this sleek.
There's no
design
new
of the
experimental weapon.
Oh yeah.
This
It
I don't
reuses
know
the
whose
existing,
brains
which is a
came
shame.
together to make this, but it's beautiful in my opinion. I really love it.
I mean, but
I hope we
maybe,
can
Yeah, I
do
mean,
more
I'll-
maybe
ships
they
in
could
this,
balance it.
time
All
frame.
credit to
Make it perform better?
Jamie Armstrong Hughes, the concept designer on this one. They did a great job, like bringing that era to life in a way that, I mean, that my brief for them really was like, okay, if you pan over from the Excelsior or the Reliance or the Enterprise A, and there was a Romulan ship part next to them in those movies, right? Like, what would that ship look like?
There's a lot
And
of
so that's
background from the stream now.
you know, in some ways you kind of have to think about it has to be restrained in ways that I think our modern ships aren't. You know, those ships, when you're building a physical model, curves are expensive, right? And so a lot of those ships had straight lines in certain places. They had perfect circles in a lot of places. They had bends, but they also had, you know, just like right angles and stuff, and because they had to make the thing, it had to be a real thing, right? And so that gives it, that demands a certain simplicity and a certain proportion that it was important for me that we sort of execute on our model, even though we're not bound by those same constraints. If we wanted this to fit in, then we should be, right, for that to work.
Yeah,
And
I've
so
heard you say
was
that before.
Yeah.
Like we have to build a lot of our
tried, I don't
starships in a
believe
way
so.
that remembers that they were originally models, physical things that were built out of wood and plastic. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how you get something that fits in next to, because we faithfully recreate the wood and plastic ships, right, with or fiberglass or whatever they're made out of. We faithfully recreate those. So if we want our new designs
The
to fit
legendary
in next
Valdor
to
will still
them,
be
then we
better.
have to build our new designs by the same rules.
There's also a
Potentially,
little bit of
Steven.
like trying to channel the art directors, the model builders of those days, and their sensibilities.
Yeah. Nilo Rodas is a big one. He designed the Bird of Prey, and did he do
drops
the
next
Excelsior
week.
too? Or no, that was Bill George, wasn't it?
He did. Nilo Rodas did the Excelsior concepts. Bill George did the final one.
This is
Yeah,
a fine layout.
Um,
It's, pilot intel's never
yeah.
perfect, but it's
so,
perfectly...
it's just some legends. And
perfectly
Nilo Rodas has
usable.
done a lot of stuff.
It's-
You look him
it's
up,
decent.
you'll probably be like, oh, he did that?
Yeah, Steven,
Oh, he
they
did
did that
that?
first.
Like, he's, pretty incredible
Yeah.
stuff.
All right. Well, I think that's all that we have to show today. We have more bundle details that we'll talk about next week on the day that it comes out, right? Do you want to? I don't know if there's anything else to tease about next week. There's another thing, right? I don't want to talk about it though.
No,
Yeah, I'm bummed. I'm actually traveling, and I'm really, really, really sad that I'm not going to be around for that one.
Oh,
It's gonna be so good.
we are also really, really sad. But you guys should keep an eye on our social media and Discord over the next days, because me and Pandas and the amazing Miko, who has worked on something that we're revealing next week, have been working on a little bit of a treasure hunt for you guys. So we'll leave some hints for the upcoming reward that we will talk about next week throughout our social media and Discord. And you guys could maybe find out a little early what we're talking about if you follow all these hints. But we're not going to do any teasers here, because I think we've also been really excited for it. But yes, we have...
that's enough. Just get them excited to tune in.
Yes, exactly. You should tune in next week. With all of us, well, Thomas already said he's not going to be available, and Mayo is also probably not going to be here, but we're going to have Miko on, maybe some other familiar or new faces to talk about what's coming. And
Awesome.
if you guys have any last
sorry, one more
questions,
question.
you
Do we
can...
have-
Yes.
Yeah, do we know yet the price of the bundle? I think that would be a good thing to announce here.
I don't have that info yet.
Okay, we'll be sure to have that on the next stream then when we, or maybe even
Yes.
before if we want to put it on socials or something. But since we'll be talking about more of the other stuff that's in the bundle, the non-ship stuff next week, we'll let you know.
Yes, we'll let you know all the details, and as always, there will be a ship log coming out for all the
As soon as
ships.
I write it.
Ramsman.
As soon as Jeremy writes it, everybody tell Jeremy to please write it. The deadline is today.
Yeah, everyone add Jeremy on Discord, please.
Wait, today what time zone though?
Mine!
Audio balance is horrible.
No, there you will get the usual ship logs, and next week you'll talk to some of us again about what else is coming, because there's also a new event coming next week. 2 new events actually coming next week. And you guys have a moment. Oh, do you know yet, Jeremy? Will those ships only be available on the bundle, or will players be able to buy them separately?
No, legendary ships are never separate.
The
They are
stream
always found only in a bundle.
Buffering is rough.
Alright guys, you heard it here. That means I have to save up too. Because I'm definitely getting that pilot. Because it's the
As
only
I
ship
said,
I can
there's
fly.
Additional goodies. It's some additional fun toys within the bundle that we'll talk about next week.
Yes.
And those also tie into the Last Stand theme
Yes.
in some fun ways. So
Yes, so please tune in. Also, because I'm
This
gonna
is like,
reset
it's so
if you
laggy.
don't.
Yeah, they're legendary ships.
And I'll post ship pictures. I'll post cat pictures of the culprit from tonight on the Discord. So all you guys should join
Yeah, it's
the
very rough.
Discord.
Yeah, legendary are already fleet equivalent.
Also, so you can all tag Jeremy. To
There are
write
extras for the
the ship
bundle.
looks for me.
So I'm gonna mute the stream because at this point it's like lagging really bad for them. But there are extras in the bundle that they're going to be showing off next week, along with the reward for the upcoming feast event, which is something that is going to be very interesting for a lot of people. Okay, so let's go into review here. Ramsman, okay, Spencer, what are they talking about? We know you know. Terrible. Yeah, so there's 3 ships in this bundle, the exact ones, that were predicted. There's the legendary Negh'var, and for the stats on that, let me jump ahead here to where they had that in the stream. I unfortunately did not grab the timestamps of when this stuff happened. Okay, so the Negh'var here, it's got a 5-3 weapon setup. You've got a commander Inge with intel, a lieutenant commander universal with command. I pulled this up, but it literally is... Did I close it? Hold on. Legendary Galaxy Dread. If you guys have ever flown the legendary Galaxy Dreadnought cruiser, this legendary Negh'var is the exact same seating, exact same weapons configuration, except that it's on a Klingon ship with an enhanced battle cloak. There's some new pets with the Klingon ship here. I'm not really sure how good they're going to be. We'll find out next week. There are these little chariot things, which you can see shooting here. So, with SAD, maybe they'll perform well, but there is only 4 of them out per bay, and there's only 1 bay on the ship, so I don't have very high expectations for these pets, but at a minimum, they're going to be very immersive. Now, for the trait here, let me see if I can pull that back up here. Very well organized, okay? It was so blurry trying to read anything on the stream while they were doing it. The bit rate that they're doing, that's one of the issues with Twitch, is that you're limited to a lower bit rate. Like, on Twitch, I have to stream at like 6,500 kilobytes, so 6.5 meg. On YouTube, like right now I'm at, I think, 10, but I can, if I wanted, I could go to 100 meg right here on YouTube. Like, YouTube will just take it. Twitch, they have a restriction that really limits the quality of what you're seeing. Sorry, I was just seeing what that ping was. YouTube will just take it, yes. Yes, they have rapid fire, yeah. But the trait here, they mentioned that this has a 50% uptime, which is a bit disappointing. It's really hard to read this. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can get something a little bit more readable. Is that a direct match for what they showed here? Okay, so when activating an engineering commander intelligence bridge officer ability for 20 seconds. Is that what it says here? No, it says for 30. Okay, so this is old data. Let's just close out that. When activating an engineering commander intelligence bridge officer ability for 30 seconds, every half seconds while doing energy damage, your weapons apply a disruptor damage over time for 10 seconds, max of 10 stacks. New applications also refresh the duration of the dot. After 15 stacks of the dot are on the target, it will deal disruptor damage in a 1.25 kilometer radius sphere around the target, hitting up to 5 foes. Targets will then be immune to the trait for 5 seconds, and then there's a 30-second recharge time. Yeah. Yeah, so I want this to be good. I've got disruptor sets ready to go, just in case, this happens to be good. But based on the fact that it's got like a lockout, yeah, I'm not too hopeful. Yeah, the lockout sounds like that's going to be extremely restrictive. So, like the legendary Negh'var, if you like the legendary Galax, this is the same thing with a Klingon skin and an enhanced battle cloak. So, yeah, I mean, it'll be a really good ship. Is it going to be? None of the ships here are like going to break in and be like the new go-to meta ship, just to be clear. But they're all really capable. The legendary Nebula is by far the most disappointing for the ship itself. Let me jump ahead to that. So the legendary Nebula, that's a 4/3 science spearhead. Let me find where they had the actual ship screen open here. Okay, so that's a 4/3 science spearhead, no hangar bay, which as soon as you hear Nebula, no hangar bay, that immediately means it's going to be worse than the Terran Monitor, one of the prior variants of the Nebula when it comes to the performance potential. You also have the fact that this has a secondary Merc Worker. Merc Worker is really not that great of a specialization to have on ships right now. There are, some boosts there for energy weapons, but they have a really long cooldown. And even if you like Merc Worker, I think we can all agree that Merc Worker would be better if those abilities, narrow sensor bands, mixed armament synergy, didn't have such a long cooldown. But like for a science build here, those are weapon buffs. Mixed armaments, narrow sensor bands, those are buffs for weapons. On a science ship, with a science spearhead, yes, you have a bit of focus from the weapons, but a lot of the focus is still coming from your exotic abilities and your clicky consoles. And this, it's not really doing anything there. Thank you. I appreciate it. Arc Royal looks better. Yeah, the Arc Royal, was truly a screw up on their part. Yeah, surprise guest bringing me a nice big cup of coffee. It's not as bad as the Proxima because this still has a commander. This still has a commander temporal, which is good for science. Temporal is really good for science builds. So is Intel. So the issue with the Arc Royal is that they really screwed up because they literally made the perfect science ship, basically. And sure, there's little things some people might opt to swap around. All I heard was the door and then arm with coffee. Stealth coffee, yes. That was funny. It's gonna be a long day. I need all the coffee. And hold on, where is it? I gotta write an angry email later because I've been having issues with my 3D printer. This is a print that failed earlier today. It's one of a few recent prints that has failed. I don't know if the camera's seeing that very well. Let me go full screen. It's not getting it very well. You can see it ain't supposed to look like that. But yeah, long day for me, so the coffee's needed. But yeah, Miracle Worker Secondary just doesn't offer much for a science ship, honestly. Miracle Worker, like, if I was them, I'd be getting some plans together, buff Miracle Worker. Yeah, that was my Bob. It's at Spencer B96. So let me type it in chat here. I'm gonna do it without the app because otherwise it'll screw up. Yeah, Miracle Worker just, it needs help. Even if you like Miracle Worker, like I said, like, wouldn't you be happier if you could use those abilities more? The reason that the Terran Monitor, the prior version of the Nebula, the reason that gets away with having the Miracle Worker is because it's Commander. So you've got a Commander Miracle Worker on a Science, meaning that you're getting the extra console slot, and you could still, you know, dump in a bunch of the Science abilities. With this, you know, that secondary Miracle Worker, you're just going to ignore the Miracle Worker. So, for the ship itself, I'm not impressed with the stats of the Legendary Nebula. Now, the trait on it, that trait looks crazy. In fact, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go right into content creation. Let me just ping. Just for right now, I'm just on the YouTube. Yeah, the monitor's also a carrier. Yeah. So I'll see if Jeremy can post some better pics there. Now, for the trait here, for what we can read, activating a universal console grants the following buffs to self and up to 4 nearby players for 10 seconds, stacks up to 10 times. Based on the tooltip here, that is saying plus 1% crit chance and healing crit chance, plus 10% crit severity and healing crit severity. So 10 stacks, you know, if that's going up to 10 stacks, that is 10% crit chance, 100% crit severity, you know, from spamming universal consoles. That's really leaning more in towards the console spamming meta that we have right now. So 10% crit chance, 10% healing crit chance, 100% crit severity, 100% healing crit severity. Like, that's huge. But that's not all. There's also what appears to be +2, like, it looks like a 2 here, +2 current and max auxiliary power. So, I mean, that's helping fleet power. Especially if that stacks with the other max power buffs out there. You know, some of the max power stuff doesn't stack, but if this does, you know, that's another 20 power. Another 20 power for, like, your fleet power, for your science abilities. Like, that's legitimately really good. And then there's the Starship Perception. That just ties into the theme of the Nebula. That's not necessarily, you know, that important. Does that increase the Valdor console heals? I don't know. That's good coffee. Could you imagine if that buffed up the Valdor heals? Oh man. That would be crazy. We need X3 upgrade, yeah. So like that trait. Enjoy the so with the Merc Worker, like the Captain specialization, you can get healing, crit chance, and severity. So your heals, your normal like bridge officer heals, yeah. Yeah. All the power. So it's like the heals that don't really do that much nowadays. So I mean, this is gonna help them, but like your Ox to Sif, your Hazard, your Inge team, what is it, Miraculous Repairs? Like all that stuff, I believe works with the crit chance and severity, the healing side of it. Tier 7 when? I don't think we'll ever see Tier 7. Brace for Impact, yeah. I don't know. I don't think it's really been tested because just all of the like older heals just became irrelevant. Yeah. Yeah, so I'll be testing this stuff first thing next week, and yeah, I'm impressed with them numbers right there. Not impressed with the stats of the ship. But the trait, hell yeah. And then we have the Dhelan, so let me pull that up here. I will start with the Nebula, yes. You know it. No limit on range. Okay. So here is the legendary Dhelan. Yes, it looks a little bit funky, but, you know, being different is always good. What appeals to someone else may not appeal to you. You know, it's all personal preference. And I could see how with some kit bashing, some different coloring, this would be a very appealing visual for people. You know, Ed, I don't remember. That might be the case. I don't have the game open right now. So the legendary Dhelan here, it's 5/2. It does have an experimental weapon slot, but it retains the original railgun experimental, which does not perform well. No, the trait explicitly said players only. Looks like a spatula. Different old materials will look better probably, yeah. Dan, thank you for the super chat. I greatly appreciate it. So, yeah, it is unfortunate that it's got the original experimental weapon, but maybe they'll take the opportunity to go in and buff that up by about 1,000 or 2,000%. I don't actually know how that performs compared to like the hexa cannons right now, but it's not good. It yeah. So the thing is with experimental weapons right now, you basically have the hexa cannons up here that can do like 200k. Then you've got the Goran Hunter ones that can do like 150 to 180. You have a couple down at like the 90 to 100k range, and then you have everything else that just crashes down towards zero. Yeah, I believe no, not the experimental weapon, but the console was. But the console's unlocked. None of the consoles that were unlocked as part of this legendary update are going to be that crazy, from what I recall. Now, the trait here for the legendary Dhelan, before I go over the trait, the bridge officer layout on this, it's commander pilot, lieutenant commander Inge with intel. So, pilot intel, you've got room to do a lieutenant commander psi. Like, it's fine. This, if you're a fan of the pilot intel ships, this is going to work well. I would love to have seen pilot command, of course. This would have been a great pilot command ship, but unfortunately, they I don't think they've got the memo yet on us needing another pilot command ship. There's a lot of pilot intel. In fact, let me pull up my sortable filterable ship list. Which copy is this? That's fine. I can show this now. Do not stream. Okay. Yeah, you can't break a legendary bundle. So you have to, if you want any of the ships, you have to buy the entire bundle. Well, it's... I know that I'm fine to stream this right now. Okay. What other filters on? Oh, American Worker. Okay, so I want to show like how many pilot intel ships do we have? So clear this. Let's do pilot. Secondary intel. There's quite a few. So none of these are an exact match for the Dhelan, so it's at least a slightly different combination. But yeah, you've got the room to do the lieutenant commander side with the grav well. You can do the intel in basically all the engineer slots. Yeah, that's fine. You definitely want to tune into the stream next week. Yeah. I mean, you've got clean getaway. You've also got pilot team, right? So pilot team's a good maneuverability buff. What might be revealed next week? No comment. What the hell did I just get on my hand? The Nebula's got like a meta trait on it, yeah. For like the console spam setups. Is the Dreadnought the only Dreadnought without a lance? I don't know. Terrible. They as soon as Mike fixed at the end there. And then it was too loud. Audio balance is hard. Not all Dreadnoughts have lances, yeah. It's only the trade off the Nebula. Okay. Let's pull up the trade again from the Dhelan. I've still got that up here. Yeah, parry and thrust. Additional plasma damage and crit severity from evasive maneuvers, brace from impact, and pilot maneuvers. So activating any of those grants 5 stacks of parry and thrust per stack, plus 10% crit severity with direct energy weapons for 10 seconds. Max once per second when hitting with direct energy weapons. Consume 1 stack to deal plasma damage to target. So you have to be spamming evasive, brace for impact, pilot maneuvers a ton in order to really benefit from this. So someone out there doing like a meme pilot setup will probably have fun with this, but I don't think this one's going to be as crucial. Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting concept. I don't expect this execution to net too much for us. Dan, the next meta update's going to be covering that. So a whole bundle and one trait, is it all worth it? It's a hell of a lot better than the prior bundle we got earlier this year. What was the name of it? I've already forgotten. The bundle we got back in the summer sort of sucked, so this is much better than that. This is like all around. These are solid chips. We really need to see the price point. Wait, you know, that is the big thing, is just to wait and see what the price is. You can't build up stacks since they disappear after one shot. Timeless Legacy, yes. This is the first legendary bundle in 2 years. I would say, you know, if you're sitting there with a bunch of Zen, this is, based on what we've seen here, like you've got the Negh'var, which is just a Klingon version of the legendary Gal X with an enhanced battle cloak on it, and some new hanger pets, which probably aren't going to beat Type 7s. The trait from it, we're going to have to see how that works, but I'm very concerned about that having limited uptime. The Nebula, that's got like a crazy a trait on it that's, you know, potentially insanely good. We're going to have to verify that, of course, next week. I will be live the moment this update goes up, and I will be testing that out for you guys, so definitely stay tuned for that. Jude and Player going to get Willow. Give thumbs up if okay. Yeah. Go. Are you watching me out there? Terrible. They'll nerf the Neb trait weeks later. Yeah. Not enough hanger bays in this bundle. Yeah, I've got the camera on. I'm watching him. But he's not in the play yard yet. Yeah, you're fine. Yeah, I expect the price to be probably upwards of 15K base. I mean, if they're feeling nice, you know, maybe it'll be 12. Might wait for the new anniversary bundle just to compare. Yeah, and you know, out of all this, like from a meta perspective, you know, what here looks like a meta changer to me, and it's really just the Nebula trait. Should we expect a Zen sale on Epic soonish? Around Black Friday, I believe. And if not Black Friday, then at the end of the year. Adele, correct. There's no information at this time about the bundle exclusives. Can afford half a K. I feel that. I bought too many hard drives. Hold on. I don't know if I can get these all on the camera here. Where am I at? This is all hard drives. I did a bulk order of hard drives the other day. This is part of why I'm selling all the ships. I got stuff to fund. 30 pounds worth of hard drives. There's a bunch of 3 terabyte drives that are being cleared out from like old servers. Wish you could buy that XL Defiant, but you gotta save for Xmas. I gotcha. Bundle exclusive, 1 free Muds bundle pick. That'd be awesome. But no, that ain't gonna happen. Yeah, so the Nebula trait's like the only meta changing thing in here. Everything else so far looks fun to have. I do like the design of the Romulan Dhelan. I know it's not a visual that everyone likes, but I think with different colors on that, some different vanity shields, that could look really cool. Yeah, I bought 16 3 terabyte hard drives for $160. Like they're getting really cheap. You do need a SAS controller to use them though. It's a duck, yeah. And I guess this is a spoiler for upcoming content, but I mentioned recently, I got a 3D printer. This here, I printed. It's like a little hard drive cage. So, gonna be printing out a couple more of these. And I ordered some backplanes from China. So, gonna be getting that all set up here in the near future. Yeah, it's for a new NAS build. So I paid $160 for 16 3 terabyte SAS drives. So SAS does mean you need a special HBA in your computer, something like this. This is just an LSI one that's like $30-40 on eBay. Plush Drive sells these, and they're reliable. But they have these special ports that you plug into. The lighting sucks right now. Yeah, they're used. So I have 100 terabytes in my main server right now, but I need to set up like a dedicated Mediaplex server for the family, so that I can do things on my server without needing to worry about disrupting Plex. Yeah, let me go back to, where is it? Deca Stream. There we go. Yeah, the Nebula is Temporal and Miracle Worker with no Hangar Bay. No, 16 terabyte drives? No. I wish I could get those at that price. Don't worry though. I've got some 14s here too. It's, the reason I was selling all these ships is because I spent too much on hard drives in the past month. So ugly ship. Terrible. Yeah. I really think 150 is a likely price. Let's see here. Bundle extras better be good, yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to be doing a video here, just to recap everything. That'll be out this evening, hopefully. Now that I've said it, I've just screwed myself over. What brand of hard drives? I haven't even opened this, but I think they were Seagates. Yeah, Plasma's really good right now. If you guys have any final questions, though, feel free to drop them in. Then I'm going to go record that summary video and try to get that out as soon as possible. Yeah. Where do I think this will go on the bundle tier list? Well, that depends on how well the traits actually perform. Can I access the NAS from console? No. I just have a web interface. I mean, it's got a console, yeah, but... Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but I mean, A or B tier? Like, it's a good bundle. Not the best, not the worst, but it's better than a lot of recent things. Yeah. Really depends on the trait performance, because we already know where the ships are going to be at. Okay. Well, thank you all for tuning in. I'm going to get to that video and hopefully have that out later today. Again, thank you all for tuning in. Where's the stop button here? See you guys around.